Right, let's just have a wee quick discussion about EDC. Right, you know, everyday carry stuff. We all sort of do it, so let's have a wee chat about it. This isn't necessarily an EDC video. I'm just using this to sort of like, you know, get the juices flowing in your noggin. But anyway, right, EDC is stuff that you carry every day. Knife, maybe another knife, multi-tool, and light. You know, it's always, you find yourself using this stuff. Once you have it, you find yourself, I don't know if it's either we make excuses to use it. Being honest, I make excuses to use my knives. I'll openly admit that. But there's some things I found that I just used more and more now that I've begun to integrate it into everyday carry. Like, this wee multi-tool. Oh, knocked the camera, sorry. It's a wee cheap Gerber multi-tool. Gerber dime. Not all the tools in this are great, like the knife blade. If I can get it, there we go. It kind of sucks, it just does. But there's tools in this that are handy and are very useful every day. But one of the most useful things I find is this wee torch or flashlight, whatever you want to call it. I'll just reference it as a light from now on. To have a light on your person, I think it's a perfect thing to have. If you're a doctor, it's a necessity. You need to have a light. Because, you know, whenever kids come in complaining about their sore throat, you need to check it, or else they'll just tell you you're not being a good doctor. But an EDC light, I've used this one extensively. You can see some wear around the front of the bezel. You can see some general wear around the entirety of the light. A nice nick there. But a light is something I find myself using a lot. If you don't know, over here in the UK, for guns, for us to own firearms, we have to have them locked up in a gun safe or a gun cabinet. That's just part of the law. If we don't do that, we don't get to keep them. They tend to be located in dark places. You know, not an awful lot of light gets in. So some people light them, as in put wee lights inside the cabinet. I'm a bit lazy, so I don't bother. And I find myself grabbing for an EDC light. And having the EDC light is perfect to check what's needed for whenever you're running out to lift up more ammo or getting ready to go out shooting for the day. Regardless, it's a handy thing to have. Now that I've rambled a little bit about why I'm enjoying carrying a light, let's get into the review of this particular light. Here we have the StreamLight MicroStream. This is a favourite EDC light of mine. You may recognise it, or you may actually have it yourself. It's the smaller brother to the StreamLight Stylus Pro, which you've seen countless reviews on probably, and heard great things about. But for me, those longer pen lights just don't really fit me personally. I do have one in my man purse, as I call it. It's a max position EDC organizer, but that always comes with me everywhere I go in the car and all. So I always have a standalone light. In this case, at the moment, it's the next Torch K3. As you can see, if I zoom out, there's a considerable size difference. Keep in mind though, this does take 2 AAA batteries, otherwise the StreamLight, it only takes 1. But because it takes 2 and there is that longer form factor then to contend with, because admittedly I am a small guy, which means I wear small trousers which tend to have small pockets. So I always find that whenever I sit down or whatever, this rides up and unclips from the pocket, or it digs into a bone or somewhere and turns on and it's left running, and then look at that, it just happens to end up being on strobe. So I prefer having a smaller form factor myself. That's just a personal thing. I just prefer the smaller torches over the longer lights. The StreamLight MicroStream here is, as I said, a small light. It's a single cell AAA torch. That's just what it is. It's very simple in construction. We've got our top cap here that the sun screws off with the single cell battery. There's a wee cheap AAA battery. There's an alkaline AAA. Just using up what's around before I get to the good stuff. And if you look here, you can see there's an O-ring there to help with water resistance, and very good threading there. The overall length of this little light is 3.5 inches with a diameter of 0.6 inches, which I'll just give it to you in metric terms. It's 9 centimeters long and 1.5 or 15 millimeters, and it only weighs 1.04 ounces. Now that's without the battery, of course, so accommodate yourself there. But remember, each battery cell weighs something itself, and there is variance in what kind of cell and what it weighs. As you can see there is some texturing here in the front portion of the light, and personally I really like that. It gives you some tactility to it. If you look at the K3 here, the K3 is completely slick. There is no tactility to it, and personally, oh, by the way, this is just some residue from electrical tape, but it's very slick, and I don't personally like that. So this gives some tactility, and I personally like the feel. And again, you have some knurling type striations around this top cap, which screws off, and there's your button with your wee rubber pad, and you actually get a replacement pad, so you do, which is good because you will wear these out over time. And also make sure you, whenever you're tightening that down again, make sure it's tightened well, because that will help with water resistance. Their pocket clip is great, I think. It buries very deep. There you can see it's minimum portion of the light poking out, which I find is good whenever you get a small light like this. But the design is great. It's very strong. It retains very well, and because of this loop back design, it actually allows you to clip this onto like the bill of a cap, like a baseball cap type hat, and you've essentially then got yourself a wee head torch, which is very, very nice. It's great actually. I use it a lot whenever I was out walking dogs, until I upgraded to a more efficient light for that specific purpose. Moving on to the user interface of this light, you only get one mode on this light. It's simple. It's an on-off light. Whenever you click it on, you put out 35 lumens according to StreamLight themselves, and they say that will run for approximately 2.25 hours. Now, always take that sort of information with a grain of salt, especially the run times, because you don't know what sort of cells they're running, and plus keep in mind they are trying to sell lights. But yep, this will run a good long time. I've found myself I've had this light maybe since summer of last year, and it's had a lot of use. As you can see, it's had a lot of pocket time. But I think I've only changed the cells out maybe 2 or 3 times. So, and I've only been using those cheap alkalis for now. I've got lithium sitting there waiting to be used, but I want to get rid of the nasty stuff first. As you can see there, the anodized aluminium body of the light is holding up well. Yes, there is some signs of wear. Yeah, there's some signs of wear. But, like, I haven't babied this light. It's just been a worker for me. I have got other lights that I use and rotate around, but this just seems to be a light that I always return to and continue to use a lot, simply because it's simple and it's easy to use. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you'll know that I actually like to go to the movies quite a lot. I enjoy cinema, And I do enjoy, well, I always like to have a light with me. Personally, I'd like a light with more capabilities than this, like other modes and a brighter output and even a lower beam, since whenever you're at the cinema and at the movies, you don't want to disturb everyone else around you. So this Olight, if it will focus, Olight i3S EOS, sorry, it's all letters and all. This one runs with a XP-G2 LED. It's very bright, and again, it's a very small light. It's actually smaller than MicroStream, but this will throw out about 80 lumens, so it's a big jump up, but you don't have a clicky tail cap, and it's a twist user interface. The StreamLight MicroStream has actually got an IPX4 water resistance rating. Personally, I don't know what that means, but for me as a user, all I know is I've dropped it in the sink, I've dropped it in a puddle, and I've been out in very heavy rain with it, and it hasn't failed, which I think is pretty much it for everyone. That's what we can sort of expect from our lights. Well, conditions to deal with for our lights. But it works, I'm happy. Now on to price. This is an epic point for it as well. You're talking like £25 for that little light, which will serve you like a champion. It'll be a light that you'll love and you'll use every day. Now, the other two lights that I've got that are more pricey, but still very much in the ballpark. If you like the 2-cell options, there is those options out there for you. Like the Next Torch K3. I don't know why I'm having trouble with that, but I am. Ah well. That's a double cell. Or you have the Olight. They offer a AAA 2-cell system as well. But for me, these two lights are perfect for me. The StreamLight is one that I love and keep going back to. And it's just does the job brilliantly. That's it. Thanks for watching. Be safe, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.